Welcome back to our yearly roundup of all the weird news that has happened in 2022. I'm back today with 2 more weird tales from the year just past. This won't be your usual news roundup, this is strictly the stuff that makes you go, what? As quite frankly, the regular news is far too depressing, so instead we'll be exploring a few weird and wonderful stories that didn't make the headlines. Now, that's not to say that these stories don't dally with the dark side, because sometimes they most definitely do. But there's plenty of light-hearted strangeness, so don't worry, if anything is going to be hideously awful, then I'll give you a heads up first. So with the disclaimer out of the way, let's jump in to February. But before we do that, if you are new here, then hi, my name's Nikki, and I make podcast videos and TikToks about all sorts of weird stuff. So if you're into that, and I have a sneaking suspicion that you might be, then please hit the subscribe button or follow me on your podcast provider so we can hang out more often. And if you're not new here, then welcome back, old fiend. Nice to see you again. Now, our first story today sounds like something straight out of 28 Days Later. A woman became ill after touching escaped monkeys from a crashed truck. The woman in question, Michelle Fallon, pulled over to help a driver in need when she saw the vehicle ahead of her crash. As a result of the collision, the truck spilled its cargo, a large amount of cages. Michelle sprang into action and began moving the cages away from danger, believing the truck was from an animal rescue centre, but as it turns out, it wasn't. As Michelle picked up one of the cages, she heard a hiss, and so she put her hand inside the cage to console the frightened animal. However, she was shocked on closer inspection to see it was a monkey. The animals being transported turned out to be 100 crab-eating macaques, a primate which is indigenous to Southeast Asia. The monkeys had been flown in from Mauritius on Kenya Airlines to New York, and were on their way to a research laboratory in Philadelphia. Luckily for Michelle, the animal didn't bite her, but she said when the monkey hissed at her, she felt a fine mist come from its mouth. She also said she managed to stand in some of the monkey's droppings. After the incident, Michelle went to a party the same evening. She said people at the party later tested positive for COVID. She, however, didn't, but she did report some other symptoms. She said firstly she called her doctor, as a few days later she'd contracted conjunctivitis, which, to give it its American name, pink eye. After seeking treatment for the pink eye and telling the doctor what had happened, Michelle was advised to get some blood tests, just in case she caught a zoonotic disease from the misplaced monkeys. She was given a course of antibiotics for the pink eye, and she said afterwards she suffered a bout of vomiting, but she attributes this to the antibiotics and not her contact with the errant primates. As for the monkeys, unfortunately 3 had to be sadly euthanized after they escaped into surrounding woodland after the crash. However, the subsequent 98 were safely loaded onto another truck and transported to their original quarantine destination. After news of the crash broke, PETA, People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, got in contact with Kenya Airlines to voice their concern for the transportation of animals to laboratories, and in this particular instance, the accident which caused 3 animals to be euthanized. The subsequent pressure on the airline caused them to opt to not proceed in renewing their transport contract for laboratory animals. PETA also advised on the amount of different communicable diseases that laboratory monkeys can hold, but seeing as these monkeys were being transported in and had yet to reach a laboratory, it seemed unlikely that they would have any of the diseases they claimed. The laboratory the monkeys were going to weren't available for comment. Our next story is something which I will give a bit of a warning for. We're going to be talking about controlled eating. So if that's not for you, please skip ahead a few minutes to our next weird tale. It's widely understood that many people in the public eye who are under scrutiny for how their bodies look will resort to some questionable eating practices. It's a sad fact that due to societal pressure and the beauty standard to remain excruciatingly thin, that celebrities are well aware that their livelihood and reputation could be questioned if they gain a bit of weight. So when David Beckham revealed that his wife Victoria had eaten the same meal every day for years, people were more concerned for the star's well-being than shocked. David was guesting on the River Cafe Table 4 podcast when he told the host about his wife's consistency with her meal choices. He said,
"Unfortunately, I'm married to someone that has eaten the same thing for the last 25 years. Since I've met her, Victoria, she only eats, grilled fish, steamed vegetables. She'll very rarely deviate away from there. Yeah. The only time that she's ever probably shared something that's been on my plate was actually when she was pregnant with Harper.
Do you remember what
and
it was?
And it was the most amazing thing. It was one of my favourite evenings. I can't remember what it was, but I know that she's not eaten it since."
With this sad revelation, people began to question more widely the idea of people generally feeling like they have to sacrifice their own happiness and well-being just to please others' gaze. The meal in question, grilled fish and steamed vegetables, also had people asking a lot of questions, like, is this just a one meal a day deal, or is this for breakfast, lunch and dinner? Some people theorised that actually perhaps Posh Spice has hacked the eating code and that this is just like the Steve Jobs closet problem. For those of you that don't know what I mean when I say that, Steve Jobs eliminated as many choices as he could from his day in order to make sure he didn't have to waste valuable brain power on simple decisions like what he was going to wear. So he always opted for the same black polo neck and black trousers. So others think that Vicky might be doing the same with her meal choices. However, as word spread about this very restrictive way of eating, nutritionists weighed in with their thoughts. The main concern for eating such a large quantity of fish is the amount of mercury buildup this may cause in a person. Certain types of fish are known to carry amounts of mercury in their bodies and other heavy metals, which, if consumed occasionally, are negatable in a regular balanced diet, but if eaten every day, could build up to toxic levels in the body. The other thing nutritionists were concerned about is the lack of carbohydrates in the meal, the most delicious of all food groups. The low-carb meal doesn't provide enough carbohydrate for a healthy long-term eating regime. But their despair may be in vain. Vic, when she also guested on the River Cafe Table 4 podcast, said her all-time favourite meal is a slice of whole grain toast with a bit of salt on it.
And so my last question to you on this very blustery River Cafe day is to ask you, what is your comfort food?
And this is where I sound even more boring in the food department.
You're not boring in the food department. You're interesting in the food department.
Okay, what do I like? I like whole grain toast with salt on it.
Good. That's
Is that choice. Really boring?
No.
It's that carby thing, isn't it? It's that carbohydrate that makes you feel comforted. And I love salt.
You love
salt. What can I say? I'm a savoury person as opposed to a sweet person.
Yeah.
She has also said she likes a smoothie every morning which contains apple, kiwi, lemon, spinach and broccoli, amongst other ingredients, so that answers the breakfast question. Some have said that the restrictive diet may also be because she's an alien which needs certain types of minerals only, and I'm not confirming this theory, but I've seen Spice World the movie, and that checks out. Have you ever used your favourite perfume and thought to yourself that it's lacking a certain je ne sais quoi? Well, in February, perfumiers got together to create the most divine scent for the upcoming Valentine's Day celebrations. One which may not just have the scent profile you'd be expecting, but it may just be exactly what you'd want to smell on the neck of your lover. The Idaho Potato Commission were looking for new marketing ideas for the year ahead, and the chief executive said that the same thing kept coming up. The smell of French fries, and one employee joked that it would be great if they could bottle it and sell it. Soon the joke became a reality, and the team were in talks to create their own perfume, to be released just in time for Valentine's Day. The scent, which they named Frites to give it a French perfumery twist, is a unique blend of first and foremost distilled potatoes and some top-secret essential oils which make the scent robust and unique. It's then put into a bottle which is designed on purpose to be reminiscent of crinkle-cut fries. Those that have been lucky enough to smell the fragrance say it's reminiscent of obviously potatoes, but also has a fresh citrusy scent and is quite pleasant, possibly not that reminiscent of a deep-fried potato. The fragrance went on sale on the Idaho Potato Commission's website and instantly sold out. You may have expected something so unique to be really expensive, but actually the fragrance was priced at just $1.89. The cheap price tag also contributed to the fragrance's sellout success, and as a limited edition item, it's now been discontinued. The Idaho Potato Commission are well aware this is a joke and a novelty item, but the request for the perfume to be brought back has been overwhelming. After disgruntled lovers of chips went mad for the smell, the Commission had to set up a giveaway on their Instagram to make the distribution of the last few bottles of the perfume fair. All bottles have now gone to their rightful owners, but keep an eye on their web shop this coming Valentine's to see if the standout product makes a return. I'll definitely be adding it to my cart if it appears again, even though I probably smell like a potato most of the time anyway. What do you think about the novelty fragrance? Would you wear it unabashedly, or does the scent profile leave a little to be desired for you? Let me know your thoughts. Thanks for joining me for that selection of weird stories. I hope you enjoyed them, and if you did, there will be more along soon, so make sure you're subscribed if you're not already to keep up with the series. If you like the show and what I make in general, and you've been around for a while now and you want it to continue, then please consider becoming a Patreon supporter like our executive Patreon producers, Amy, Christina, Jess, Kate, Kevin, Mary, Sally, Sam, Sarah and Veronica. And huge thanks to all of my other patrons too. And did you know that you can actually gift a subscription on Patreon? You can ask for it for a Christmas present and somebody can pay for it for a year for you. So if you want to do that, just head on to Patreon and all the details are there. If you just want to send a tip or a little Christmas gift from my Amazon wishlist, then I would massively appreciate that too, and I'll leave all the links in the show notes. An enormous thank you for considering even doing any of those things, as it means the absolute world when I get a little surprise parcel or a notification of a new patron. So immeasurable amounts of thanks go out to you if you're part of that gang, because you are the absolute bestest. Thank you for joining me for this episode. I've been Nikki Druce, and I'll see you ghouls next time for March.